Prepare yourself, because something serious is unfolding in Libya. An unexpected warning, coming from the man who carries one of the most feared names in North Africa, has reignited ghosts the West thought it had buried long ago. Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, the son of the late leader Muammar Gaddafi, has just issued an alarming statement that sent Washington and the European Union into high alert. But what does he know? And why now? After the first minute, to truly understand how we got here, we need to go back. Back to that moment when Libya, once the richest and most stable country in Africa, was bombed under the banner of liberation. A war that destroyed not only Gaddafi's leadership but also the country's political and social foundation. Since then, Libya has been trapped in endless cycles of militia warfare, corruption, and foreign interference. But something has changed, and this time it feels different. According to a report by Agenzia Nova on April 14, 2025, Saif al-Islam Gaddafi raised the alarm over new armed tensions in Libya, warning about groups that, in his words, benefit from the perpetuation of the state of crisis and the lack of security and justice. But who are these groups? And more importantly, who is funding them? If we look closer, it becomes clear that Libya's chaos isn't just internal. Ever since Gaddafi's fall, foreign powers have been quietly competing for influence and control over territory, oil, and strategic positioning. France, Italy, Turkey, the United Arab Emirates, and of course the United States all have their hands in the Libyan puzzle. But the burning question remains: why did Gaddafi's son decide to speak now? What has changed behind the scenes? Rumors suggest that Saif al-Islam may be rallying support from his father's old allies, tribal leaders, ex-military officials, and nationalist factions that never accepted foreign dominance. Even more suspiciously, his warning came just days after strange military movements were detected around Tripoli and Sirte, two regions long fought over by Western-backed forces. Could we be witnessing the opening act of a new Libyan war? Or is this something much bigger, a prelude to a geopolitical storm? Prepare yourself, because to understand the true scale of what's coming, we need to dig deeper past the headlines, past the politics, into the networks of power that profit from instability. Who really controls Libya today? And why does the name Gaddafi still terrify the West? To understand the current warning from Saif al-Islam Gaddafi, we have to go back further to the roots of Libya's modern turmoil. After the NATO intervention in 2011, Libya didn't just lose its leader, it lost its state institutions. Security forces collapsed, the judiciary was paralyzed, and local militias quickly filled the power vacuum. But why did this collapse benefit foreign powers, who gained most from Libya's instability? According to the Agenzia Nova report, these groups that Saif mentions are not just random militias. They are networks of armed actors financially and strategically supported by external players, each with a vested interest in Libya remaining divided. Washington, for example, has historically aligned with certain factions to maintain influence over oil exports and to counter other powers like Russia or China in the region. France, on the other hand, has repeatedly been accused of backing rival factions to secure its own energy contracts and maintain leverage over Mediterranean geopolitics. But let's ask a deeper question. Is the chaos in Libya purely a consequence of external interference, or does it also serve local agendas? The answer lies in understanding the role of internal elites who profit from the state of perpetual conflict. Tribal leaders, former regime loyalists, and opportunistic politicians have all, in some form, benefited from the absence of centralized authority. How do these internal players coordinate with foreign powers? And how does Saif al-Islam's reemergence threaten that balance? After the minute mark, we begin to see why timing is crucial. Saif's warning comes at a moment when Libya's strategic importance is rising again. Oil production is fluctuating. Migration flows are creating tension in Europe, and regional powers like Turkey are recalibrating their involvement. Could his statement be more than a warning? Could it signal the reorganization of old Gaddafi-era networks ready to reclaim influence? Experts cited in the Agenzia Nova article emphasized that the LNA, the Government of National Unity, and other factions remain fragile. Any move by Saif al-Islam could tip the scales, triggering confrontations that no foreign observer truly controls. So we must ask, what is the endgame? Is this merely about domestic stability, or is Libya once again becoming the chessboard for global power struggles? Every detail, from troop movements to international statements, matters. The warning is more than rhetoric. It's a message with multiple layers for Libyans, for foreign governments, and for those quietly pulling strings behind the scenes. Understanding who stands to gain from this alert is key to predicting what might come next. To fully grasp the gravity of Saif al-Islam Gaddafi's warning, we need to analyze the international players silently maneuvering in Libya. Since the fall of Muammar Gaddafi, the country has become a strategic chessboard for Washington, Paris, Ankara, and increasingly, Moscow and Beijing. But what are these powers really after, and how does Saif's statement disrupt their plans? According to the Agenzia Nova report, Saif explicitly points to groups that benefit from the perpetuation of crisis. These are not isolated militias. They are embedded in broader networks supported by foreign states seeking influence over Libya's vast oil reserves, ports, and Mediterranean access. Washington, for instance, has long sought to secure favorable energy contracts while countering Russian and Chinese expansion in Africa. France, similarly, has historically leveraged its presence in North Africa to maintain political and economic dominance. Could Saif's resurgence threaten these carefully maintained balances? Now consider the timing. After a decade of relative chaos, Libya's resources are increasingly coveted again. Oil production is stabilizing, migration flows put pressure on the European Union, and regional powers like Turkey are reevaluating military involvement. Saif al-Islam's warning comes precisely at this sensitive junction. Is this a tactical move to test the readiness of foreign powers, or a signal that old Gaddafi-era networks are quietly consolidating strength? We also must ask, how do internal factions react to this external pressure? Tribes, local militias, and political elites have all profited from instability, and any move by Saif could upset their calculations. Experts quoted in the Agenzia Nova article warn that even small escalations could trigger larger confrontations. Who will align with him and who will resist? The question is not just who fights, but why, and who benefits from the outcome. Finally, what message is this warning sending to the West? It is a reminder that Libya is not just a failed state. It is a land whose history, alliances, and resources are deeply entangled in global power struggles. The West may appear confident, but Saif al-Islam's emergence demonstrates that old networks, long thought dormant, remain influential. Could this lead to a realignment of power in North Africa? Or are we witnessing the first signs of another proxy confrontation? Saif al-Islam Gaddafi's statement is more than a headline. It is a lens through which we can examine Libya's past, its internal fractures, and the geopolitical stakes that surround it. The West, as seen through the reactions in Washington and European capitals, is clearly concerned, not only about immediate security threats, but about the potential shift in control over Libya's resources and alliances. The warning highlights three critical points. First, Libya's internal actors are still powerful and capable of reshaping the country's trajectory. Second, external powers cannot fully control the narrative or outcomes. Third, historical networks built under Gaddafi continue to influence current events. Every movement, every alliance, and every warning now must be analyzed in this complex web of local, regional, and global interests. As Saif al-Islam Gaddafi continues to speak, the world watches not just Libya, but Europe, Africa, and the United States, all calculating responses. The real question remains: is this a prelude to renewed conflict, a strategic maneuver to reclaim influence, or the beginning of a longer-term reassertion of Libyan sovereignty? For anyone tracking the geopolitical chessboard of North Africa, one thing is clear: the story is far from over and the West is watching nervously.